Chiefs Kingdom, welcome back. This is All Chiefed Up. I'm your host, Mike Williams. I'm here with my brother, Steve. Today, we're going to be doing a new thing, like some fact or fiction, where I'm going to give him a statement. He's going to tell me if he thinks it's fact or if it's fiction. Pretty self-explanatory, right, Steve?
It is, and I think I'm going to be awesome at this. So let's get that thing rolling.
Fact or fiction. I'm just throwing this on Steve again. I'll just text him and be like, dude, I got something we're going to do today. And he's like, cool.
I have no idea what's coming. So
yeah, it's just fact or fiction. This is easy. I'm going to give you an easy one to warm up with. Fact or fiction. Tyreek Hill says Tua is more accurate than Mahomes. Fact or fiction? That's Tua more accurate than Mahomes?
Fiction.
Complete
As Stephen
fiction.
A. Smith said,
stay off the weed.
Dude.
Did you see that? Did you see him say that?
I didn't. Why is Tyreek Hill overselling Tua to a point that I think Tua is going to collapse under the pressure. Is this something that Tyreek's coming out with to try to get Tua out of town? Like, is he going to put the pressure on him?
Tyreek Hill's doing nothing but run his mouth to try to get views on his or listens on his podcast. And Tyreek Hill's running his mouth to be the center of attention on every television show you turn on. He's getting what he wants. He wants attention. That's all Tyreek Hill wants.
And with that, we're not giving him anymore. So
no, he don't believe what's coming out of his mouth. He does not believe what's coming out of his mouth. There's no way.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
So moving on, fact or fiction? Josh Gordon will have more receiving touchdowns than Sky Moore this season. Fact or fiction?
Is fiction. I do believe that Sky Moore could very well settle into a wide receiver one. Like, you can't count that out already. And actually PFF, they graded up all of our receivers and they think that Sky Moore is going to be the wide receiver one for his rookie season. So I think that Sky Moore is going to be very successful. Now, Josh Gordon, they did say he'd been hot in OTAs, that he'd come out looking like a whole different player, and Andy Reid was really pumping him up and things like that. But I just don't see him outperforming Sky Moore. I mean, I could be dead wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and call it fiction.
Well, I mean, it's just on TDs. So you got that big red zone target, and then there's a lot of times we get the ball down the field, and then we just punch it in.
I don't see Josh Gordon getting that many red zone targets any more than he would, say, any other receiver, because most of our red zone targets are going to go to Travis Kelce.
I put Josh Gordon right around maybe 2 touchdowns at best. So right. I think Sky Moore's got that beat.
All right, good deal.
Okay, so Juju will have more receiving yards than MVS. Fact or fiction?
So this is a tough one. First instinct, I would say that's a fact. Juju's going to have more yards. I already said that my hot take for the season is Juju's going to have over 1,000 yards receiving, and I'm sticking with that, by the way. But man, I've heard a lot of good things about Valdez-Scantling. He picked up on the playbook super fast, apparently, which is not common with Andy Reid's playbook. That's also something that held back Josh Gordon last season. He came in mid-season. He was trying to learn that playbook and everything. So that's why a lot of people are looking at this season to be a lot better for Josh Gordon. But apparently Valdez-Scantling came in and he caught on fast, which is great news. And he also is already building, a little bit of chemistry with Mahomes. So this is a tough one when you really think about it.
I think it's going to be close.
Valdez-Scantling could definitely have a breakout year because he's been, in Devontae Adams' shadow over there at Green Bay. This could be his year. And
you think Juju's getting 1,000 yards? You said this.
Yeah.
So how many yards do you project for Miko?
Miko's going to have his usual 600 to 700, something like that, maybe.
Okay. So then if you project the same for MVS, that would be, we'll say 1,200 between them. And you got Sky Moore's got to get some yards.
1,000's going to Kels, right?
Right.
At least close to it.
So you're at 2,700 yards without throwing.
Well, Mahomes is going to have a 4,500 yard season, right? It's going to be around that number. He's going to have a huge year. He might break that 5,000 this year. I have full confidence because I think this is going to be an MVP season for Mahomes. So, I mean, there's yardage to go around when you really look at it that way. I'm going to go ahead and say that it's a fact. Juju will have more than Valdez-Scantling, but that doesn't mean that he'll necessarily have a better season. I think Scantling might get, he's got that big playability, which I know Juju does, but not in the same way. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with that. Fact, Juju will have more receiving yards than MVS.
Okay. You kind of answered a couple for me. Mahomes goes for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, factor fiction. Mahomes wins MVP, factor fiction. You can kind of do those together. I think we know that you are going to say fact for 4,040.
Fact. I think Mahomes goes for more than 4,040. I think he tops that. I think you're going to be looking at stat line that's very, very close to his second year where he just went off the chain. I think you're going to be looking at something like that. He's got a lot more options this year. And I think the offense is going to be changed and tweaked around a little bit to where that could benefit him as well. I think it's going to be a huge season for Mahomes. And I'm going to say fact on 4,040 plus and fact on MVP. I think he wins MVP this season as well.
I like those. Okay, let's stick with offense. We got a few more on offense, then we'll move to defense. Kansas City, fact or fiction, will have 3 running backs that will rush for 500 plus yards this year.
Fiction.
I'm
going to go with fiction on that because I think at best Clyde's going to be looking at 600 to 700 yards. You know how he does. Rojo, I think he's not going to do anything extremely different than what he's done in the last few seasons in that running back by committee. Because like you said in a previous video, we were talking about it. He was playing in behind Leonard Fournette. He didn't get all these carries. I think it's going to be the same deal. Him and Clyde's going to be splitting the majority of the carries. But there's also, there's some new guys coming in here that's going to be taking some of these carries. So, I'm going to say that's a fiction. I think he's going to be around 400 yards. I think Gore, Pacheco, and even if Ely and McKinnon, all those guys, I think McKinnon's probably going to be right there with Rojo around that 400 to 500 yard mark. And I think that Clyde might get to 800. I don't think it's going to be that much different. I do think there's going to be more design runs this year. That's the thing. I don't think there's going to be as many RPOs. I think they're going to take some of that off of Mahomes because Mahomes don't like to hand the ball off in RPOs, and that's a detriment sometimes. So I think they're going to take that off of him and have more design runs, but that don't mean they're going to run the ball more because we are talking about Andy Reid's offense. So I just don't think that's the thing. I don't think the 3 of them is going to have 500 or more now.
Okay. Isaiah Pacheco will start at least 3 games this year. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. I think a lot of people want to see Clyde out the door, but I mean, what it really boils down to is I think Clyde's your starter, guys. You're just gonna have to live with it.
But
I think
Clyde is injury prone. You can get a few starts due to injury here.
It's true.
Basically,
but if Clyde don't get the start,
the question is Pacheco the number 2 at any point? That's basically what that question says.
I don't believe so, especially with McKinnon being in the mix. I just don't see Pacheco being a number 2 in his rookie season. It could happen. I think that the chances of it are very minimal. I do think that he could be a starter, later on. I wouldn't be surprised if his second, third year he's not coming and starting some games, but I just don't see it in his rookie season. No.
Okay. Fact or fiction? Travis Kelce goes for 1,000 yards receiving, 10 touchdowns in the regular season.
All right. So I think that it is getting to that point in his career where the Chiefs do have to start taking a little bit off of Kelce. We can't just rely on him and run him into the ground because he's getting a little older. He's had some nagging injuries here and there, nothing major, but you want to keep it that way. But with that being said, I know that Fortson, he's gonna get a lot of plays. He's gonna get a lot of snaps. I'm still gonna give Kelce the 1,000-yard season, and until he proves otherwise that he's not gonna get 1,000 yards, because we're on 6 seasons now with him going 1,000 yards plus. So until he proves that he's not gonna hit that 1,000-yard mark, I'm always gonna say it's a fact. Kelce's gonna hit 1,000 yards.
Okay, so you're with fact. Good deal. A few more on the offense. We'll switch to defense. Sky Moore has 75 receptions this season.
Man,
fact or fiction?
I mean, honestly, right off the top of my head, I don't know what's an average number of receptions. It's just not a stat I've looked at recently.
I think Miko last year had somewhere around 65-ish.
If McCall had 65 last year, then I'm going to say it's a fact that Sky Moore will have 75. I think Sky Moore is going to have.
I could be wrong about that, but I think it's something similar.
Just based off that, like I said, I don't really know what the average is, but I think Sky Moore is going to be at that average mark. I don't think they're going to like run the offense through Sky Moore and he's going to get all these targets. But
Miko, he had 59. That's what he had last year.
So if Miko had 59 last year, I'm going to go ahead and say fact. Sky Moore has 75 this year because I think he's going to get more work than McCole did last year.
Okay. Fact or fiction? Darian Kennard starts 14 plus games as the right tackle.
Fact.
So he'll win the starting job before week 3, 2.
I think that Darian Kennard might win the starting job before week 1. Let's be honest here. I think that he's going to take that job, and I think barring injury or something else, like I think it's his week 1. I just do.
Okay. Fact or fiction? Miko goes for 1,000 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns.
Man, as much as I want this to be a fact, because he really, really needs to have a big year. Like McCole needs to have a huge year.
Yeah,
this is his time.
There's just a lot of mouths to feed on that offense.
There are, and that's the thing. Like we were already talking about, the yardages a minute ago. I just don't think there's going to be 1,000 yards for, every receiver on the team. I do think Mahomes is going to be pushing 5,000 yards if you don't eclipse it. Which leaves a lot out there, but with Kels and MVS, Juju, and Sky Moore, I just, you know what? I'm gonna be positive. I think that McCole's been living in the shadow the last few years. He's been catching a lot of flack, even from us, man. Like we've been right in the midst of talking some trash on McCole. We do like him. Don't get it wrong. We do like McCole Hardman, but we've done our fair share of trash talk. I want to be positive, and I want to say that McCole Hardman is going to hit that 1,000 yards this season and prove to everybody that, hey, I've had it all along. I just haven't got the opportunities.
Okay. Last offensive one, fact or fiction. We kind of touched on this just a few minutes ago. Orlando Brown signs a big deal before the season starts. Fact or fiction?
Oh, it's a fact. I think they'll get that thing wrapped up before the deadline. Is that in July?
Yeah, I think so. July 15th somewhere.
Yeah, they'll get that done. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see that come in the next week or week and a half, something in that time frame.